Have you ever thought that other people only look for you when they're drowning in their problems? When people we care about in love and friendship turn us into safe havens for their own needs? When someone doesn't return your sincere love, it weighs on our hearts. Your self-worth and trust in yourself suffer, may fade away, sinking into pain. These are truly bitter experiences. It could be the friend who always wants something but is never ready to give it back, or it could be the person who comes to you with all their worries, expecting you to help them. If someone always helps you but disappears when you need them the most, or if you feel like they care about you because of what you can do for them instead of who you are, that's a sign of an exploitative relationship. We all deserve to be loved and appreciated, and it's heartbreaking to find out that the people we trust and love see us only as a way to reach their own goals. This hurt not only lowers our self-esteem, but also makes us lose faith in love. In this video, we want to shine a light of confidence and self-respect on you to help you see and deal with these problems. With wisdom and peace. Let's look at 10 Stoic philosophical ways to tell if you're being abused and how to protect yourself, not just for your own good, but also for the sake of your soul's purity. Before we start, I challenge you to watch the whole video and not skip any of the methods, because even one of them will help you stay safe from bad relationships. Are you ready for this test? Let me know what you think. I'm ready to move on to the first message method. Number 1. Breach of promises. Marcus Aurelius, a famous Stoic philosopher, once said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact, and everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." This advice has stood the test of time, emphasizing how important it is to keep promises as the highest form of character and morality. When someone breaks a promise, they not only lose trust, but they also show disrespect for others. Breaking promises hurts emotionally and destroys relationships. This is more obvious when we see how opportunists often break promises by putting other people or other things ahead of you. You are not seen as important, but as someone who can be easily manipulated and won't cause trouble even if they keep disappointing you. This is also clear when they treat you the same way over and over again. If they don't care about how your hurt feelings make you feel, it shows that they are selfish and don't care about you. Epicurus, a Stoic philosopher, said that we shouldn't let other people's actions affect how we feel. This doesn't mean that we should be oblivious to betrayal, though. It means that we should learn to be stronger from it. If someone betrays our trust, we can either become more resistant to trust or learn to keep trusting and hoping. The question is not only whether you are being exploited, but also how you will react in subsequent cases. To do this, you need to look at yourself deeply, understand your own worth, and be able to forgive. Ask yourself, can you find power in forgiving and keeping your heart open, or will you choose a path where trust and respect are built on understanding and independence? There will always be problems in life. No matter how big or small, they can throw us off track and make us feel like we've failed. But it's often said that what really defines us is not the trouble itself, but how we deal with it. In this lesson, we'll talk about how determination can change people's lives and help them get past even the hardest problems. Using examples from real life and deep research, mindset is important, because how we see problems has a big effect on how well we can solve them. Adopting a growth mindset, which sees failures as chances to learn and improve instead of as impossible problems to solve, can make us much more resilient. Getting used to failing. Failing is a necessary part of the way to success. We shouldn't be afraid of loss. Instead, we should see it as a way to get better. Every failure teaches us something important that helps us move forward. Stick with it. Success doesn't happen fast. It's the result of hard work and unwavering drive. We get closer to our goals one step at a time by sticking with them and not giving up when things go wrong. Looking for help. No one can handle the problems in life by themselves. Together with family, friends, mentors and co-workers, building a strong support network can be very helpful when things get tough. When you need help, don't be afraid to ask for it. Resilience leads to growth. Problems have an amazing way of helping people grow and progress. We get stronger, smarter, and more adaptable every time we get through a tough situation. By seeing problems as chances to learn and grow, we can build grit that will help us throughout our lives. After going through hard times, it's normal to feel stressed and down. That being said, we can turn problems into chances to grow and get better by accepting the power of persistence. By having a growth attitude, being okay with failing, keeping at it, asking for help, and seeing the growth that comes from problems, we can face the challenges in life with strength and determination. Never forget that the goal is not to avoid problems, but to face them head-on and come out better on the other side. Number 2, don't care about your feelings or wants. When someone doesn't care about your feelings or needs, it's not just neglect. It's like a deep wound that tells you that you don't respect or care about them. So the question is, how do we notice and get past that wall of indifference? First, ask yourself if this lack of concern is a recurring trend. This question will not only help you figure out what the problem is, but it will also allow you to protect yourself on purpose. One of the most important Stoic thinkers, Marcus Aurelius, wrote, "If something outside of you is bothering you, it's not the thing itself that's hurting you, it's how you think about it. You can change how you feel about something at any time. When you realize that it's not bothering you, take a step back and reevaluate your self-worth. Next, practice accepting that not everyone can or will meet your needs and emotions. This doesn't mean you accept unfair treatment, but rather that you don't let it affect you. Lastly, try to connect with people who really care about you and your beliefs. Using this method will not only help you stay away from bad things, but it will also bring you good energy that will help you grow as a person. Stoic philosophy not only teaches us how to recognize and deal with doubt, but it also helps us redefine our values and goals. This way, we are no longer passive victims of our circumstances, but active creators of our own lives. We often look for approval and acceptance from the people around us, but sometimes even small comments can dim our light. The question then is, how can these comments not only serve as reminders of our worth, but also as stepping stones for growth? Number 3, diminishing comments. Imagine that you are deeply excited about an idea you want to share, and someone responds by saying something like, "That's just your opinion," or "It seems like you haven't really understood the heart of the matter." What is that feeling that's rushing through you right now? When your ideas and passions are brushed off, it's painful. Your responses not only take away from the value of the thoughts you've worked hard on, but they also ruin the chance for a deep and meaningful conversation. However, Stoic philosophy tells us that before we react, we should stop and ask ourselves, will my words add to this conversation? Will I be building a lasting relationship or destroying it? Stoic philosophy tells us to remember that our true worth doesn't depend on what other people think of us. So how can you use these situations to improve yourself and your relationships? Sometimes the best thing to do is to be quiet because you don't need to answer. When you're faced with unhelpful criticism, it's a chance to practice the patience and tolerance that Stoicism always encourages. Thank yous. Now is the time to ask yourself, how can I respond most constructively? What lesson can I learn from this? Asking these questions not only leads to more patience and self-improvement, but it also leads to more mutual respect and understanding. What's your answer? Share your thoughts in the section below this video. We all want real support, a guiding light through the darkest times. When faith is hurt by the lack of real support, we feel like we're standing in a desert, our souls thirsting for a drop of familial warmth. Next, we will explore this pain through the light of Stoic philosophy, helping to identify signs of being exploited through the lack of genuine support, and providing us with the strength to overcome and protect ourselves. Comments or phrases that put down or make fun of someone's thoughts, ideas, or accomplishments are called diminishing comments. They can be overt or covert, but they can have a big effect, lowering drive and confidence. These statements can be rude, sarcastic, or mean-spirited, like when someone brushes you off. Diminishing words can happen in personal relationships, the workplace, or social situations, and they usually come from someone wanting to show they are in charge or dominant. It's important to notice and respond to comments that put others down if you want to create a positive and supportive space where people feel respected and free to speak their minds. Clarity. Make sure your message is easy to understand. Don't use words or make things too complicated. Engagement. Use interactive elements or stories to keep your viewers interested. Relevance. Make sure your material fits your audience's wants and needs. Feedback. Ask for feedback to find out how well your message is getting across and make any changes that are needed. Continuous improvement. Based on comments and experience, try to keep making your communication skills better. Number 4. Not enough real help. When real support isn't there, we not only feel alone in our problems, but we also start to question our worth and our place in the relationship. This can make us wonder if we should stay in a relationship where our needs and worth aren't being met. One story that shows how important support is the one about Seneca and Lucilius. Seneca tells Lucilius to pick friends wisely and stresses that a true friend will be there for you in good times and bad. He writes that the greatest test of friendship is not helping your friends when they're in trouble, but being willing to let them help you when you're in trouble. This support is more than just material help. Being with someone during happy times and hard times is what it means. How do you feel about your relationship? Do you feel valued and cared for not only in words, but also in actions? Taking a serious view of relationships helps us remember how important it is to keep going, even when things get tough. Loyalty and real friendship aren't just about getting something, they're also about giving something. To really support someone, you have to be willing to tell them the truth, hoping that it will help them in the long run. As Epictetus said, don't explain your theory, live it. In relationships, real support shows that we care and show love and respect, not only through words, but also through deeds. Figuring out what people really need. Realizing that giving people basic help might not solve their real problems or meet their real needs. Depth of engagement. Knowing how important it is to really get into problems in order to find good answers rather than just skimming the surface. Meaning versus effect. Stressing how important it is to think about the results of help instead of just the reason for it. Sustainable support. Realizing that long-term solutions aren't enough for sustainable support. It takes a long-term commitment to getting to the root reasons. Empowerment means recognizing how important it is to give people and groups the tools they need to help themselves instead of making them more dependent on outside help. Not enough real help looks at the problem of help that doesn't work in many areas, from personal relationships to social problems to global aid efforts. It shows how common it is to give superficial help without getting to the root of the problem, which leads to cycles of dependence and stagnation. This exploration uses moving cases and deep analysis to get us to think about how we can better help others and make real positive changes. Number 5. Betrayal. When someone betrays our trust, it's like an unseen wall that separates us from them. When that wall is broken, it does a lot of damage and weakens the relationship from the inside. Betrayal can look like many things. Communication that isn't honest, lack of emotional loyalty, and sometimes cheating are all signs of betrayal. But how do we know when someone has betrayed us? First, see if the person stays open and honest in what they say. Even the tiniest bit of lying is a red flag. Second, emotional loyalty is shown not only through words, but also through actions. Do you still feel loved and important? Third, cheating is the clearest and most painful sign of betrayal. Stoic philosophy says that we can't control what happens in the outside world, but we can control how we react to it. When you're betrayed, talk about it openly and set clear boundaries. Also, remember to take care of your mental health, because inner peace is the most valuable thing. As Seneca said, it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them. What does this mean, and how can you use this in real life? See betrayal as a lesson and a chance to grow. Question: have you ever felt betrayed? If so, how did you deal with it? Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below this video. We want to thank everyone who has been with us on this journey of exploring betrayal, which is one of the hardest things that can happen in a relationship. Now it's time to move on to a new chapter of exploring guilt. Let's face these challenges together and learn from them, turning them into chances to get stronger. Thank you for all your support every time. Betrayal is a complicated and deeply emotional experience that involves breaking trust or loyalty. It can make people feel hurt, angry, or let down. This kind of behavior can happen in many places, from personal relationships to the workplace, and even in bigger social settings. To fully understand betrayal, you have to look into the complex workings of human behavior, motivations, and relationships. Damage to trust. Betrayal destroys trust, which is the basis on which relationships are built. Betrayal breaks the trust and safety that people depend on for real connections, whether it's with a friend, partner, co-worker, or institution. Emotional effects. Being betrayed can have deep and long-lasting effects on your emotions. Victims often feel a lot of strong feelings like betrayal, anger, sadness, and confusion. Feeling betrayed can hurt your self-esteem and make it hard to get along with other people in the future. Reasons. People betray others. People can betray others for many reasons, such as personal gain, anger, fear, or having competing interests. Figuring out why people betray others can teach us about how people act and help us deal with complicated social situations. Restoration of trust. Making peace after betrayal is hard because both sides have to admit they broke trust, talk freely, and show they are truly sorry and want to change. It takes time, patience, and a desire to forgive to rebuild trust. Depending on how bad the betrayal was, it may not be possible or even a good idea. Learning and growth. Being betrayed can be very painful, but it can also be a chance to learn more about yourself and grow. People can learn important lessons about being smart, setting limits, and getting stronger when things go wrong. People can become stronger and smarter in their relationships if they deal with deception with courage and honesty. Finally, betrayal is a very human emotion that makes us think about what it means to trust, be loyal, and have ethics. We can get through the aftermath of it with empathy, strength, and a promise to make healthier, more genuine relationships if we recognize how complicated it was and what it meant. Number 6. Making you feel bad. When we enter the complicated maze of modern relationships, we often get lost between nice words and actions that aren't clear or ambiguous. Sometimes you feel like you're caught in a sneaky game where your conscience and freedom are being controlled by guilt. But how do you know this? Stoic philosophy tells us that having a clear conscience and being controlled by guilt are two different states of mind. When someone tries to make you feel bad, they are trying to take away your freedom and use you for their own purposes. The bad effects of this go beyond making you feel uncomfortable or lacking confidence. They also hide your true worth and ability to see and handle this situation. Stoicism tells you to pay close attention to your feelings and ask yourself, is this really my choice, or am I being driven by a sense of guilt? For example, if someone asks you to do something you don't want to do but makes you feel bad if you say no, take a moment to think about why you feel this way. Are you making good relationships because you want to, or because you feel guilty about it? Stoicism says to respect yourself and be independent. It also says to make a space where people can talk about their feelings and wants without worrying about being judged. In this way, we not only keep ourselves safe from being exploited, but we also help all interactions grow based on mutual respect and understanding. How do you feel now that you've heard these ideas? Have you ever felt stuck in a relationship where guilt was used to control you? We'd like to hear about it and how you dealt with it by using your own wisdom and independence. Write your stories and thoughts in the comment below. Making someone feel bad can lead to a lot of different problems, from strained relationships to mental health issues. To have good relationships and interact positively with others, you need to know how to avoid making them feel bad. Put yourself in the other person's shoes and think about how what you say or do could affect them. When you have empathy, you can predict how someone might respond badly and change how you act to fit that. Mindfulness. When you talk to other people, pay attention to what you say and how you say it. Don't say things that are hurtful or insensitive. Instead, use language that is kind and polite. Active listening means paying attention to how the other person feels and what they have to say during a talk. Do not cut them off or ignore their feelings, and support their experiences by listening to them and recognizing their point of view. When giving feedback or criticism, it's better to focus on specific behaviors or actions rather than attacking the person's character. Help them get better by making ideas in a way that doesn't sound critical. Say sorry and learn from your mistake. If you hurt someone by accident, own up to it and say sorry in a serious way. Use the event to learn from it and think about yourself, and try not to make the same mistakes again. By using these lessons in your relationships with other people, you can become more understanding and empathetic, which will make it less likely that you will hurt someone's feelings. Number 7. Unilateral conversations. If you have a friend named John, he is always there to listen and be a safe place for your worries and thoughts. But one day, when you need someone to talk about your problems with, you find out an uncomfortable truth. Whenever you start to talk about your life, John always seems to bring the subject back to himself. It's as if only their story is worth telling in their world. Epicus, a Stoic philosopher, once said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen more than we speak. In John's case, this reminds us of how important it is to listen, not just to respond, but also to understand and share. If someone keeps talking without caring about the other person, it's a sign that they may see you as a means to their own ends. If this happens to you, don't speak out right away. Next, talk about and set new boundaries in that relationship. Remember that self-mastery and kindness are the most important things in Stoicism. Now we want to hear from you. Have you ever had a friend like John or been in a similar situation? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments. This way, we can not only learn from each other, but also find empathy and strength to deal with similar problems in life. As Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, once said, "True love can fear no one." And in relationships, mutual respect and listening are indispensable foundations. Number 8. Only one side benefits. There are many colorful paths in life, and we all want to find the warm rays of balance and sharing. Have you ever stopped to listen to your inner voice and wondered if you were getting caught in the whirlpool of a one-sided relationship? Those are the times when you give and give without really getting anything in return, creating a relationship where one person takes advantage of you while the other person enjoys it. One-sided gain is marked by imbalance. This kind of situation is often caused by ignorance, fear, or even greed on the part of the person being exploited. One side always gives, and the other side always gets. This makes a pattern where one side feels worn out and the other side is recognizing that never satisfied isn't easy, but it's the first thing that needs to be done to fix the problem. Pay attention to how you feel. Do you feel drained and like you're putting money into a relationship that doesn't give you anything in return? When you realize this, remember that autonomy and self-respect are very important in Stoic philosophy. This means learning to say no and setting boundaries for yourself. Ultimately, one-sided benefits can lead to conflict, feelings of helplessness, and loss of trust. But this is exactly when Stoicism teaches us that every other learning and growth. When you face and talk about the problem, you not only protect yourself, but you also make room for better relationships based on balance and mutual respect. Did you know that our minds often wander to deep questions about what life is all about? These questions make us feel fascinated and curious about the world around us, which leads us to start a journey to find the truth. When we lose something important in our lives, we learn the most important things about ourselves and the world around us. Fairness is an important part of the complicated dance that people do with each other. When one side benefits more than others, there is an imbalance, which can lead to anger, mistrust, and conflict. This mismatch is very clear when one side gets the benefits and the other side has to carry the weight. Inequity leads to unhappiness. Resentment grows when one side always gets what they want, while the other side gets little or nothing in return. Unfairness like this hurts trust and goodwill in all areas of life, from personal relationships to business deals to social structures. Relationships that last need to be mutually beneficial. Respect and reciprocity are important for healthy partnerships. When only one person benefits, the connection turns into a parasite that takes from the other person's resources and energy without giving them back. Yield on short-term gains losses that last. In the short term, it may seem good for one side to gain at the cost of the other. However, in the long term, this can have very bad effects. Systems become unstable when they are out of balance, which can lead to collapse or war. Concerns about ethics. From an ethical point of view, fairness means that everyone gets the same amount of rewards and costs. Using other people for your own benefit goes against this concept and hurts society as a whole. Building a foundation of equity. It's important to build a foundation of equity in order to create lasting connections and communities. In this case, it means making sure that everyone has a fair chance to gain and contribute. In the end, the principle of one-sided gain is a lesson that shows how important it is to be fair and give and receive in all areas of life. We can build better, longer-lasting relationships and societies if we value fairness and respect for each other. Number 9, absence is very important. Nothing makes a strong friendship more valuable than being with someone during tough times. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said that the absence of a friend or loved one can say volumes louder than words. This is especially true during the hardest times, when we feel weak and in need of support. Gold going through tests. Brave men, imagine that you're going through one of life's hardest times, the death of a loved one, a serious heart condition, or the failure of a business, and the people you trust are nowhere to be found. They might say they're busy or don't know how to help, but their absence leaves a mark that can't be erased. Mark, you might be wondering at that point if they really care as much about this relationship as I thought they did. Stoicism teaches us to accept what can't be changed and work on improving ourselves through self-control. When we're missing someone during a hard time, we're told to think about the relationship's value and see if we can get stronger on our own. This doesn't mean cutting off all communication, but realizing that spiritual independence isn't a sign of loneliness, but of inner strength. When things like this happen, you should ask yourself, can I find peace and strength within myself without needing outside support? And which relationships truly add value to my life? By being honest with ourselves and reflecting deeply, we not only learn how to handle problems on our own, but we also find true freedom in changing our social support network so that it is based on mutual understanding and respect. Can you share a story about how this 9th method changed your life? Leave a comment below. We often look for balance in relationships because it's a good way to repay what we've given, but sometimes we find ourselves at the edge of injustice, where love and care have nowhere to go. Facing the lack of reciprocity is not only a lesson in patience, but also in finding inner freedom and finding your way to happiness. Absence, which is often forgotten or undervalued, is very important in many areas of life. It's not just empty space when something is missing, whether it's in a friendship, a story, or a recipe. Absence can make you feel things, build tension, and make you value things more. Knowing how important it is helps us enjoy its presence even more. Makes appreciation better. Being absent makes us value the presence of something or someone. Just like the space between musical notes makes the sound better, what's not there can make what is there more valuable. Encourages growth. When people don't have access to certain experiences or tools, they are often forced to come up with new ideas, adapt, or find other ways to solve problems. Problems can lead to new ideas, and being away from something can help you grow. Makes room for reflection. Being absent makes room for thinking and reflecting. Absence gives us a chance to think, evaluate, and become clear. It can be a break from a routine, a pause in a talk, or a moment of solitude. Increases desire and longing. Being absent can make desire and longing stronger. In relationships, for example, being away from someone you love can make your mental bond stronger and make you look forward to seeing them again. In the same way, when sharing a story, leaving out information or a resolution can captivate readers, making them want to find answers and get more involved with the story. Identity. Sometimes when we don't have certain traits or characteristics, our real selves show themselves. Being away from someone or something can make us more aware of our strengths, beliefs, and unique qualities. That makes us want to accept our uniqueness and enjoy what makes us different. To sum up, absence is more than just not having something. It's a living thing that changes how we feel, relate to, and understand the world. We can use its power to make our lives better and learn more about the world around us if we recognize how important it is. Number 10. Not giving and receiving. In the complicated dance of relationships, it's important to know how giving and getting work. However, it's just as important to know when not to give and receive. This delicate balance is what emotional boundaries are all about. They are important for keeping good relationships with other people and taking care of your own health. Self-preservation. Not giving and getting is not the same thing as being selfish. It's a way to protect yourself. It means being aware of when giving too much drains your emotional reserves, or when getting without giving back hurts your sense of self-worth. By setting limits, you can be sure that your wants will be understood and met. Boundaries that give you power. Setting limits gives both people in a relationship more power. By being clear about your limits, you help others understand and accept them. This clarity promotes healthy ways of interacting, where giving and getting happen in equal amounts, promoting a sense of harmony and equality. Respect for autonomy. Not giving and getting shows respect for people's right to be alone. It honors their freedom to pick and choose what they give and receive based on their beliefs, tastes, and mental strength. Respecting limits shows that you value each other's freedom and personal space, which builds trust and leads to deeper connections. Emotional health. When you're learning how to not give and receive, it's very important to put your emotional health first. It means being able to tell when a situation or relationship is hurting or taxing your emotions. As part of taking care of yourself, you need to learn how to say no when you need to, and accept your limits without feeling guilty. Protecting your mental health helps you become stronger and build relationships that are healthier and more fulfilling. Finding a balance between giving and getting is important for keeping relationships that work both ways. Being aware of both your own and other people's needs creates a situation in which everyone can contribute and gain. Accepting this balance encourages growth and support for each other, building a strong base for long-lasting relationships that matter. The art of not giving and getting is mostly about becoming more self-aware, setting limits, and encouraging respect for each other. People can navigate relationships with more honesty, integrity, and compassion if they understand how important emotional boundaries are. This will eventually make their lives and the lives of others better. A lot of people feel cold feelings of love in their hearts. Stoic thought is like a lighthouse that gently reminds us of our true worth when relationships seem out of balance. Seneca hints slightly at jests. People who have been held by true love will continue to be held by it. This reminder isn't just an echo of love. It's also a decision on balance and reciprocity in all relationships. Think about a situation where you always give your friend mental support and time, but when you need it, they're not there. This is not only an example of being unresponsive, but it's also a sign that your worth in that relationship is not recognized. Stoicism tells us to face this situation by asking ourselves, does my investment in this relationship reflect my true value? Am I truly receiving the respect I deserve? To find balance, we must also remember that, as Marcus Aurelius said, we are born to work together, just like our feet, hands, eyelids, and upper and lower jaws. This shows how important it is to move forward together and help each other all the time. When a relationship doesn't respond, it not only lowers our worth, but also makes it harder for us to grow together. What should you do in this case? Start by telling people freely and honestly how you feel and using Stoic thinking. Focus on the things you can change, and remember that your self-respect and worth don't depend on how other people react. Instead, they come from knowing yourself and respecting yourself in the journey of our lives. In the Stoic way of life, facing and recognizing situations where we may be taken advantage of is not only necessary, but also an important step towards self-improvement and personal growth. Stoic philosophy not only teaches us how to deal with life's problems, but also helps us look at our relationships in a deeper and more meaningful way. Do you find yourself in any of the 10 situations we listed? If so, how would you use these pieces of advice? Remember that the goal is not to avoid all problems, but to learn how to face them consciously and steadily. We encourage you to not only think about these lessons, but also to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it with others who might also benefit from these lessons. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future videos.